So our next guest, and I believe he is with us in chat here, is Kevin Day. Kevin Day is a retired United States Navy Senior Chief Petty Officer, former ops specialist in Top Gun air intercept control with more than 20 years experience in strike group air defense, including wartime operations. He's an expert operator of the highly advanced SPY-1 radar system with years of service on board Aegis-equipped ships. He's logged hundreds of air-to-air intercepts of suspect aircraft in both training and wartime operations. So in November 2004, during combat training exercises, it was the Princeton's Combat Information Center that discovered the fleets of anomalous air contacts, and it was Kevin Day who instructed the pilots to change their course and investigate the unidentified radar spot that observed by the Princeton's radar footage. The footage of that encounter is the Tic-Tac incident, and it was released to the public in December 2017. And in September 2019, as you all know, the US Navy acknowledged that 3 of those videos are real unidentified phenomena. Kevin is also the founder of UAP Expeditions. That's a nonprofit group of former military officials, Silicon Valley entrepreneurs, venture capitalists, university professors, and scientists, fielding a top-notch group of uber-experienced pros to provide the public service of field testing new UAP-related technologies. Okay, that was a lot to read, but Kevin is really, he is really at the key. He's one of the pinnacle figures. And so now I have to figure out where he is in our list. Okay.
Aloha, Tim. Can you hear me?
Ah, wonderful, wonderful. Welcome, sir. Welcome. You look
thank
great.
you.
You look great. So are you on your phone or did you get your laptop working?
I got my I went down and got my laptop. They called me and said it was done. Come get it.
Thank you so much. I know, and I should mention to the audience, so you were feeling a little ill today and you're having laptop problems as well. So I appreciate your pushing through and sharing with us.
I am too. I'm very happy I didn't cancel on you. I really hate doing that. Just so you know, it's one of my pet peeves. Hate it when it happens.
Yeah.
I'm really happy to be here. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I would say, go ahead, and if you have a PowerPoint to put up, just do the share screen button for that, or
unfortunately, I couldn't find it. I think I have a virus on my computer, and a bunch of stuff got deleted. Oh, so but I can certainly talk to it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'll mute myself out and feel free to start anytime.
You bet. 2004 November, we were off the coast of San Diego doing workups. We were just about ready to go on deployment overseas. And oh, by the way, this just happened to be my very last underway on a ship. And it was also the Tic-Tacs for my very last air-to-air intercept in the Navy while I was still wearing a uniform. But anyway, it was on or about the 10th of November, 2004. We were off the coast and I started to notice these strange tracks off Catalina. And the reason, Tim, why I say they were strange, because they were appearing in groups of 5 to 10 at a time. And they were at 28,000 feet. When I first saw them, they were at 28,000 feet tracking south at 100 knots. Now, I found out later that these objects had actually descended from low Earth orbit, and they originally went to 80,000 feet, and then they dropped down to 28,000 feet. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, man, I've been sitting behind this radar, Spy-1 radar, for 18 plus years on 3 different Aegis ships. I've never, ever seen anything fly like this. What in the hell is this thing? And we weren't really concerned about it, other than we did take down all of our systems. We ran diagnostics to make sure they were real contacts. And when we brought everything back up in the strike group, we weren't the only ship that had them on radar. They were even stronger than they were before. And we weren't really concerned about it because we all thought maybe, okay, they're real, but they're probably civilian related. They don't even know we're down here. So we'll just monitor them, we'll track them, report them on the data, and just keep an eye on them. Until the morning of November 14th rolls around, we were going to do a major air defense exercise. We were going to launch a bunch of notional good guys off the Nimitz, a bunch of notional bad guys off San Diego, and we were going to be a big air defense exercise right there in the skies. At which point these contacts, whatever they were going to become a flight safety concern. I didn't want to run into them. So Captain Smith comes down to combat. I said, hey, sir, we've been tracking these objects for several days now. And no one in the strike group has any clue what they are. They're not on the notice to air navigation messages or nothing. I very strongly recommend that we intercept one of them, find out what it is, because if we don't and we hit one of these objects, someone's going to ask you and me, sir, why we were so damn curious about these contacts. He looks at me real sternly and says, "You're right, so you're chief, intercepting VID, visually identified." I was like, hell yeah, that's what I wanted. And the Fast Eagle flight had just launched off the Nimitz. Commander Fravor happened to be airborne. That was just the style of guy he was. He was always the first to launch. One of the best pilots the Navy's ever produced, I have to say. And we took control of the flight, and we drove him up to the closest contact. And as soon as he gets to the merge plot position, Tim, which is basically two vertical objects in the same vertical piece of sky and on the 2D display, they're merged now. He starts screaming on the radio, "Oh my God, I'm engaged, I'm engaged." And we're all like, what? And we watched on radar this object that he had intercepted went from 28,000 feet down to the surface of the water, surface of the ocean in less than a second. We were stunned. We didn't have words. We all looked at each other like, what in the hell is going on? So he leaves his wingman up high. He goes chasing it down below, and he comes back on the radio. He goes, "Charlie," which was our call sign for our ship, "we may have a downed aircraft here," because apparently he saw a disturbance in the water. And then in the next moment, he notices little, what he described later as a Tic-Tac like candy about as long as his aircraft, 47 feet or so. And it was zigzagging over the top of this disturbance in the water, whatever it was. And all of a sudden, when he got close to it, it turned on him and recognized him again. And he did a couple turns on it, and all of a sudden this thing just disappeared right in front of him. Literally, this is his testimony, and we watched it on radar, and it went 60 miles in less than 2 seconds. And no sonic booms, no nothing. And the weird thing is, Tim, in strike group air defense, we protect ourselves from expected threats. And the way we do that is we put in combat, and this is all unclassified. You can look it up on Wikipedia. We put in combat air patrol stations on the threat sector, so we're already in position to intercept if we have to. And to this day, I don't know how that object knew where that point was in the sky, but whatever that object was, it went to his cap station. Not just close, but exactly on it. The exact Latin long in the exact assigned altitude. And so either it had cracked the code on our data links and went there, or something else was going on and it knew where the cap point was. And so we ended up canceling the air defense exercise because if I was to count all these objects up, they were appearing in groups of 5 to 10 at a time. And over the course of maybe, 8, 9, 10 days, there was like 100 of these objects. And they were definitely a threat to air navigation. So we ended up canceling our air defense exercise, and to this day, they remain unidentified. And so I ended up doing my last tour on a shore duty command over there in San Diego, and I retired. And all this time, I'm trying to tell whoever would listen to me, hey guys, we got there's a flight safety risk here. I had real issues with safety of flight. We need to do something about this. And as soon as I described what had happened, I got laughed at, and people I had known for 25 years were literally laughing at me. And I got so frustrated with the Department of Defense and the whole thing. I ended up quitting my defense contracting job and ended up back in Phoenix, where I was living at the time. I live in Southern Oregon now. And I was thinking to myself, okay, what am I going to do? So what I did is I wrote this story in terms of a short story. It's called The Seer, S-E-E with an apostrophe R, The Seer. And I wrote some other stories to go along with it. And I published it in the Library of Congress, just in case, well, for 2 reasons. One, to get it off my chest. And also just in case this story ever became public, that my little book that I published in February 2009 would now become evidence that this really happened. And I went on with life, and I ended up back in my hometown in Southern Oregon. And I was down at the golf course, and I just reopened the kitchen, and I was carrying out a plate of food, and all of a sudden, we were watching the golf tournament, of course, and all of a sudden CNN was on. I was like, who turned on? And then I saw what was on TV, Tim, and I was so shocked. I dropped the plate and fish and chips on the floor, and I yelled out to my brother, I'll be back, Dave, I gotta go. Because it was Commander Fravor, December 17, finally went public. And I knew in that instant, my life was about to change. And yeah, so I went rushing back home, and one thing led to another, and here we are today. And UAP Expeditions has got some more missions coming up, and I still want to be the guy that makes this identification. What are these objects? I mean, truly, I don't think they were. And I have to say, when it was this happening, none of us were thinking in terms of hostilities. These things never displayed any type of hostile intentions towards. Quite the opposite, in fact. It was like they were almost being friendly and waving to us and just saying hi. Never felt threatened by them at all. The only concern I had was safety of flight, and I think that's still a concern. And since over the last 10 years or so, there in fact has been some near misses with these objects in the Navy, and that's just the ones that we know about. Maybe there's been others that haven't been made public. So my warning proved true, and I think there's some folks in DoD now that wish they would have listened to me and not laughed me out of the business. I mean, it broke my heart, man. I got to tell you, it broke my heart.
Well, now, if it's okay to ask, could you tell us a little bit about UAP Expeditions? Because that's a company that you've just recently formed, and you're actually, if I understand things correctly, you're field testing new technology. You're trying to identify and basically capture more info about UAPs. And then you're also basically doing work off the coast of California, like kind of the Catalina Island area.
Yeah, Catalina is definitely the hot spot. And our website is UAP Expedition, no S, UAPexpedition.org. We are soon will be a federally licensed nonprofit. None of us are getting paid. We're doing this because we want to figure out what it is. And we're getting our technologies from people that are sharing it with us. And so we can go test it out and record data on these objects, whatever they are. And I just got to ask, Tim, what do you think they are? I mean, is it us? Is it them? What? I don't really have a good, I mean, I want the data to tell me what they are. I mean, otherwise I'm just guessing,
Well, and you'd mentioned that you're actually picking up some data from UAP Expeditions also.
Oh yeah. We recorded like 660 hours of data on our last expedition out to SoCal, and the team out in New York University is going through that data pixel by pixel, and they are going to write academic papers when they're done. We definitely recorded some very anomalous data that's irrefutable. I mean, an eyewitness is just that. I mean, people can recant it and say it didn't happen and all that, but it's kind of hard to do with data. We got hard data now, and we intend to share it. We tend to make it public, academic papers. And if we can figure out what it is, we'll divulge that too. If we can't, then we can't.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the reason I asked this, you mentioned a couple of gamma ray, and I know there are things that you can't share.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. I was, I'm not a scientist myself. I'm a trained Navy watchstander, trained observer, and we had rented a flat house up off the beach there, Costa Mesa area, Laguna Beach, and we had all the gear set up, and I was walking by, and Dr. Knuth says, "Hey, Kevin, check this out." He said, "I know you don't know what you're looking at." And I was looking at the scope, and there was 2 spikes on it. And he says, "What you're seeing here is 2 gamma ray bursts, and they happened within a second of each other." And he looked at me and said, "Kevin, do you know the odds of that? They're about greater than 1,000,000 to 1. That should not have happened, but it just did." And that's just one. That was just one notable. There was other things that happened too that I'm not at liberty to talk about right now because I want to wait for the data before I talk out of school on it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, yeah, and I mean, if you have more of the story to share, and again, you don't have your PowerPoint with you, so we're kind of playing things by ear today, we could go into Q&A session as well. It's entirely up to you.
Well, let's the Q&A may turn into more storytelling. So go ahead and let's
Yeah.
do some
Okay.
Q&A.
Well,
Yes,
let's
yeah.
do that then. So, oh,
Okay.
okay. Well, but before that, before we go into Q&A though, let me put it on gallery view, and everyone, please put your hands together for Kevin Day.
Thank you, guys.